A couple of months ago, defending world champion Lewis Hamilton had suggested that Formula One was becoming a billionaire kids club, with paid drivers getting into F1 as the sport has become quite expensive. One such driver is Haas's Nikita Mazepin, whose father is a primary sponsor of the team. Mazepin has now given his thoughts on pay drivers. I'm your host Tyler, and first up on Formula World, Nikita Mazepin defends pay drivers in F1. Mazepin, in an interview with Sports.ru, started off by explaining how drivers have always needed support to make it into F1. Every new driver in Formula One has received support from sponsors. Some are the makers of energy drinks, one is the richest man in Mexico. These are all people who are on the grid today that we could all talk about as well. He also appeared on the Beyond the Grid podcast, where he suggested that his story is also a beautiful one. If you look at myself and my dad, I think it's a beautiful story of my dad supporting me in my ambitions and helping me master myself and get better. He then spoke about the sacrifices he had to make on his journey to becoming an F1 driver. I wasted a lot of free time to think about the sport. I started driving when I was 5. I moved away from home and didn't see my family. And I've done loads of sacrifices which every driver on the grid has done as well in a very similar way. So I think we all deserve to be here. He signed off by pointing out that the pay drivers currently in F1 have won races and even championships in the junior categories. The other drivers that the statement is referring to have all won numerous Formula Series, races, championships, and have proved themselves to be the same or even better at times than junior drivers from Mercedes or Sauber or Ferrari. So, I think just because that could be an easy target to pick up, I don't think it's factually correct. Fast feed. Honda F1's head of PU development, Yasuaki Asaki, has explained that in order to achieve the ultimate goal of defeating Mercedes and winning the championship before leaving F1 at the end of the 2021 season, we recognize the need to enhance performance. As such, the development plan for the new ES was brought forward substantially from the original goal of 2022 to introduction during the 2021 season. Even after Honda leaves F1, this new battery technology will contribute hugely to Honda's future technology to create a carbon-neutral society, he added. Honda F1 technical director Toyoharu Tanabe added to that by stating that battery development takes a lot of time, but they already had a lot of know-how in that area through mass production vehicles. We worked hard to release this update earlier than intended. We want to do everything we can in the midst of this tough fight, and with that in mind, we accelerated the plan. Last year, the electrical part was a weak point. I think the difference has been reduced by making the part more efficient and lighter. I think the performance in both the race and qualifying is more efficient and effective, he summed up. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has suggested that all the teams are having a hard time getting through the season in terms of engines. It's not just about durability, but also the extent to which an engine loses power over the course of its life. A dropout while your rival is winning means you need at least 4 good races to make up for that. We are keeping a close eye on how the engines are performing in terms of stability. At the moment, we don't see any difficulties, but we are looking at it from weekend to weekend, he concluded. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko, meanwhile, thinks that with Turkey, Austin and Mexico, our circuits are coming up again. We assume Mercedes will take the penalty there, for the same reasons as we did in Sochi. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc feels that Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen have 2 different styles. Max is a bit more on the aggressive side, Lewis a bit more on the clean side. It's nice to be fighting with both of them. Lewis is always very, very clever in the way he positions his car to put you in a difficult situation, and he most of the time manages to make the pass in a clean way. Max is a little bit more aggressive. But I enjoy racing with both, and if anything, I quite like fighting with Max because it's always really on the limit. Haas team principal Gunther Steiner feels that it's always tricky with a reserve driver, because if you give that time in the car, then you take the regular driver out and miss that time. Hopefully, we won't need that. I just hope that our 2022 car is stable enough so that Mick and Nikita can get the most out of that car. Will Lewis Hamilton take an engine penalty in the next 3 races? Head over to our community page to vote in the poll, and let us know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out our others for all the latest in the world of Formula One.